through it with some grace. It's very hard. It's very hard, and we know it. But the alternative is such suffering, and we bring this up all the time to you guys. The alternative is suffering. So yes, it's hard. Yes, it's hard to continuously remind yourself that be in the moment, be in the moment. What is true now? What is actually happening right now? Who answers the door? What's going on with my big toe? Come back to the moment. Receive insight. Open to new ideas. In the moment, in the moment, in the moment, in the moment. And one of the reasons we beat that up so much and always constantly say it is because if you're not in the moment, you don't have access to the highest version of you, meaning your soul's insight. But if you're not in the moment, you actually don't have access to the current version of you either. And every moment that you're not in the moment, you're diminishing the, well, let's see, the best way to say it is something like this. Let's say you can be 100 widgets. That's working with your soul's perspective, 100 widgets. And if you're in the moment, but not yet connecting to your soul's insight, maybe you're 65. And if you're in an experience where you're in the past or the future, it plummets. It plummets down to like 12. The difference is huge. So where am I in the widget scale? It's important to inquire about that. It's important because the difference is so substantial. And you owe it to yourself to say, I want those 40 points. I want them. Because this challenging thing will not get easier by going into the past or the future. It will not get easier by going into the past or the future. That we have confidence about. Where it will get intenser, and we know that's not a word, but we don't care. The intenser place is the moment. Because what happens is when you take that much intensity and you don't dilute it off into the past or the future, you see, you have to deal with all of it at once. And that's part of why Veronica got a little snappy, is because she couldn't attend to her experience of the moment with input from the rest of you. It was too much, because trying to stay in the moment with the quantity of things that were being attended to was already almost overwhelming. And this is another reason why you guys dilute off the moment into the past, into the future. Because dealing with it in a high vibrational conscious way and receiving insight from your soul and having all of that come in is more intensity than you're accustomed to. And it can feel overstimulating, overwhelming. So the moment isn't the bunnies and rainbows spot. And a lot of times in some of the literature that's out there, it's like, oh, just be in the moment and all will be well. Well, that's crap. Be in the moment and you will start to experience the intensity that's available to you as a Homo Spiritus individual. And it is intense, and it does ask a lot of you. But that's why you have lots and lots of tools to support the journey through it. The moment isn't necessarily going to be silence. It's not meditation. It's a opening to an enormous amount of insight, an enormous amount of information, an enormous amount of opportunity to live differently in the next moment, to create differently for the next moment, to move differently into the next moment. That's where the access point. And you guys are used to living in the past or the future where it's all more like make-believe. And so the intensity of it can be mitigated very, very readily. Because if it feels too intense, you just make believe off to a different memory or a different projection. The other night, Veronica was thinking about something. And we asked her, do you have the courage to think about yourself instead? It's an important question. Do you have the courage to think about you instead of thinking about this other situation? Do you have the courage to ask yourself, what is true now? What is going on right now? What is true with me? Where am I lying to myself? Those questions that we ask you guys all the time. You see, it's nice to think about this, that, and the other thing. Even if this, that, and the other thing sucks and is shitty and is awful and has bad memories and people you don't like and people you don't even want in your life or people that aren't even in your life. That is less intense sometimes than attending to the moment that you're in. And the moment that you're in, of course, is the doorway to everything else, but it's also can be a lot. But it's your invitation. So do you have the courage to think about yourself? Do you have the courage to focus on what is true now for you? Do you have the courage to be in that space? And of course, courage is feel the fear and do it anyway. It's easy. It's not, it doesn't hurt. It's not hard. It's all those things and I'm going to do it anyway. Why? Because I want healing above all else. I want healing above easy. I want healing above no difficulty. I want healing above numb. I want healing above all else. It doesn't mean healing is hard, but it does mean healing is typically intense. But it has a very intense payoff as well. And you're in a very intense time where you're transitioning from one intense thing to another. And intense sometimes feels overwhelming, but intense also can be lots of life, lots of living, right? Intense is a feeling when you go bungee jumping or jump out of an airplane. That's an intense feeling and you like it. You like intense feelings. So intense isn't wrong. It's not wrong. But intense is a new way of being when that intensity, instead of being externalized, I'm jumping off a building attached to a bungee cord or a parachute, instead of it being an intense action, it's an intense integration. Instead of it being externalized intensity, it's internalized intensity. When you go around taking responsibility for your reactions to your creations and asking yourself what is true now, where am I lying to myself, etc., all these invitations we've extended to you all these years, there opens up to an intensity that you will integrate. And as you integrate that intensity, it will ask a lot of you, but it gives a lot in return as well. So next time you're tempted to be in the past or the future, we invite you to say, am I courageous enough to be with me now? Am I courageous enough to attend to my concerns about me, my fascination about me, my insight about me? Am I courageous enough to do that? And you will find that the answer to that question is very revelatory, because you may do it for a second or two and then off you are in the past or the future again. And then you can look at that one more time. So are you courageous enough to make it about you? And most of you that are here with us tonight have already gone through the you're a selfish bitch thing that people like to lay on you when you start focusing on your own journey. But are you courageous enough to deal with your own reactions to you focusing on you? The girls said it best when they said, how can I love myself when I know so much about myself? And we'd like you just to let that sink in. Part of what happens when you're in the moment is you're aware of who you are in a new way. And that awareness of who you are in that new way is you knowing all what's in the nooks and crannies of you. And it can be challenging to love yourself when you know all the secret hidden things that no one else knows about you. But all those secret hidden things are opportunities to grow and opportunities to appreciate and opportunities to check out where you have judgment and opportunities for so many things. But when you start to really stay in the moment with yourself and you start to be aware of things about yourself that you're uncomfortable with, well then you have this new opportunity to say, and I can love myself anyway. And notice how we made our voice go up and there's a question mark at the end, because that's the